Okay, so the first question is, we want to take it to your beginning. And I saw in an interview that your very first job in Microsoft was working on Cloud Chat. And so first of all, like, tell us what it is, what it does, and then can you describe your journey in the evolution of bots that you worked on and that your company has worked on?
Yeah, I mean, I came to Microsoft a really long time ago. So I started in 1995. I had just come from Apple, so forever ago. And at that time, there was something really popular called IRC, Internet Chat Relay. And people really thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be like the next thing. And the very first project that I worked on was providing a visual interface to your chat conversation that would create a comic book as you conversed. And you could pick a character and it would understand like your gestures. We worked with this really great comic artist, local comic artist that you guys might know, named Jim Woodring. He did all the artwork. It was pretty awesome. And that was actually shipped as part of Internet Explorer, which is kind of weird. It used to have a chat client in it. So Comic Chat actually shipped in Internet Explorer. And, I think that what happened is, something kind of happened in the meantime, which was the internet, right? So the internet sort of happened, and that was all about social software and people being able to connect to each other. And I think rather than these really graphically rich conversations, it was really about super lightweight conversations, so social networking with people maybe that you didn't know as much. So the web was really about sharing with people that you didn't know, reading other people's content more than just interacting with your own PC. And so we really saw conversation. If you think of like what didn't exist 20 years ago, people really just had email. They really weren't conversing like they do today online, phones. I mean, so much didn't exist back then. But I just think that talking to other people and having the computer understand everything you input and everything you say is such like a goal for anybody who's ever worked on software to be able to do. It was like a dream at the very beginning of the PC. It was a dream when we started 20 years ago, and we're still, working on it because human language is sort of understanding the human mind. It seems very simple, and it's so easy for us to do as people, but it's actually fairly complex if you're really trying to build software that understands what you say and can do more with it. So we have this belief that we have had forever. I mean, I've been in Microsoft research for a really long time, which is amazing, right? We've got like the world's speech experts and language experts and vision experts. So you guys, like I said, should come by because it's a great thing to have. And I think one of the things that we started to do was we thought, well, not everybody has Microsoft research in their back pocket. So can we start making these AI services available to anybody? Mm-hmm. So there was a group of people that started doing that for the vision, speech, language services. And we had kind of the same dream for conversational AI and bots. So we said, okay, today people are mostly conversing in their social networks, in chat, text. So can we make building an app just fall into your conversation, be part of your conversation? So we were very inspired. You guys might know WeChat. WeChat is a super popular application in China, and we have a group in China. And we were like, wow, in China, it's mobile only sometimes. And they spend all their time talking and conversing and just doing everything inside of their chat application in a social context. So what if we really thought about making chat conversations pervasive and make it really as easy as possible for anybody out there for free on GitHub to kind of use our tools to create chat experiences? The other thing that we saw at the time when we launched is there was a company called Slack, and I don't know if you guys use Slack or not to group share. So Stuart Butterfield, who runs that company, was one of the first social networking folks, and he's a really good friend of mine. And so we were just really inspired by, what he and Cal and other people at Slack were doing around group conversations and how they really had bots. They had a guy named Ben Brown who had he still has an open source, really popular GitHub project called BotKit, where you could create a bot and publish it into Slack. And what was cool about it is you could kind of create an app in Slack without having to touch any of the UI. So you didn't have to work with the Slack group and say, hey, we have this feature, ordering food from restaurants. You could just build a bot, launch it into Slack, and then have it understand the conversation and interact with a group of people. And it was just a really good way to, just as you're talking, to get work done. And so we were really inspired by this. They called it BotKit. We met with them, and we actually launched at Build with Slack. We added Facebook soon after, and Kik, who also had bots at that time, as well as Skype and Teams and some other products from Microsoft, so that you could author a bot once and kind of publish it out to all these channels. And now there's so many companies that are doing this. I think almost tons of companies are doing this. There's tons of channels. And I think we just thought, oh my gosh, if you're a developer, what a challenge it is for you to figure out how to create a different bot for every single chat application. It's just so much work. It's hard enough to create a web page that runs in like Edge and Chrome and all these places, or just iOS, Android, Windows, the Apple systems. And so we thought, hey, if we could make it easy for you to author once and just see it, then you could try it out. It's really new. We want to build the ecosystem. So we would love people like you guys to be able to like build a business on creating bots for people. And we don't want you to have to do so much work, right? Where you're having to do 5 times bot just to get somebody to be able to have a customer or their own team try it out. So that's kind of our story. I mean, we've just been super pleased in seeing how these ideas have kind of blossomed into AI and the popularity of voice assistants and devices. So it just feels like we have way more interest than we ever could have dreamed of. And so, when you get lucky, I think you just kind of just keep going.